Hello and welcome. Dr. Craig again. We're doing more review here. We're going to talk about key concepts around data, and I'm going to run through a number of the different terms that we focused on a lot in Head Start Data Basics and that are back with us. We'll be focusing a lot on these again here in Head Start Data Essentials. So we're going to talk first here about data capacity to refresh our memories on what this is. Data capacity is the ability of an organization to use data effectively to achieve its goals. So in the Head Start world, what we're talking about here is the ability of Head Start programs, recipient programs, the Office of Head Start, everybody in the process, to be able to use data effectively to improve the lives of children and families and to break that cycle of poverty, to build a holistic program that actually can achieve the goals that we have, which is that children born into poverty have a chance to get out of poverty. There's a bunch of stuff that goes into what capacity looks like, but critically in Head Start, a big chunk of this is driven by requirements from the federal government. Remember that when the Head Start program gets first created, there wasn't really a lot of accountability. They gave people money and they trusted them to go do what was right, and they wrote it up a little bit. But in 1975, there's a big push to put numbers behind this, to quantify it. And you get the first Head Start program performance standards, which are very, very compliance focused. I'm going to give you 1,000 checkboxes, and you have to check every one of those checkboxes, and then you keep your funding. And in 2016, this is going to change. In 2016, we get a shift towards quality improvement and moving away from just compliance. We still have compliance, but in 2016, quality improvement gets added to the picture. How is it that you are going to use data to improve your programs? This is a big change in practice because it's not just saying, here's 1,000 checkboxes you have to check, and as long as you check those, funding continues. Now there's like 650 checkboxes with flexibility in showing that what you are doing works in your particular program's area. So the idea here is that quality improvement becomes a core part of practice. Changes in practice mean that what it is to be a data-capable organization shifts. In a compliance world, it just has to be complete. You don't really have to worry about a lot of things around the data as long as it's done. In a quality improvement world, you really have to worry about how good the data is. Does it reflect the real world? Is it of high quality? And this is a very, very different thing. The other part of this is that changes are ongoing. They're going to keep changing. Government is really expanding its emphasis on evidence-based policymaking. And evidence in government agencies means data. You're going to need to be able to show that you've been successful and that what you are doing works based on the data that you're collecting, and you have to show that the data you're collecting is of high quality. So this is going to be an ongoing series of changes that take place around data capacity. For an organization to build data capacity, it's important for the staff that work there at all levels to achieve data literacy. And data literacy is the ability to read, work with, analyze, and communicate with data. It's that ability to put all these different things together for what you need to do in your particular role. So data literacy here is something that is coming into place across all of government. More and more talk about this exact term is here. And people even argue whether we should use data literacy or whether we should use a different term. But data literacy seems to be winning that discussion. And the idea that is foundational here is that data literacy matters for you in your role. Can you use data as you need to do it? It means it's very individual. Data in Head Start's not the same thing as it would be, say, in the Department of Energy. So two different government agencies, data literacy looks very different. In Head Start, a teacher or a family advocate or a social worker, they're going to each have their own ways of being data literate based on their jobs, all of which are different from the executive director or somebody who's on the policy council and so on. So data literacy is grounded in the individual person in an individual role. Data literacy, while it's very individual though, can be a foundation for professional and personal growth for everybody. It's important to remember that data literacy isn't just about what you're doing at work. It's about understanding how all the data that's being collected on you is being used. It also has particular benefits as more and more of the folks that are working with us in Head Start programs have more and more data collected on them. The more we can impart a data literacy to our stakeholders, the better it is for everybody. So personal and professional growth are key. It builds data capacity in an organization, but it's also valuable for each individual staff member. Another big piece here is that there's a cultural change taking place around the use of data, moving away from compliance and where data is mostly just a hammer that hits people over the head, into a world where data is a wonderfully useful tool for making the world better. That cultural change requires data literacy. It requires people to understand that and to empower people within that new culture to use data effectively. It's a multi-directional contribution here. People who are at the most basic entry level all the way up to the executive director, but also across things where we've typically siloed information. It's a whole different world. So data literacy and data capacity are huge. Both of these help us to contribute to the next topic, which is data quality. Data quality means data represents the real world well enough for its intended purpose. If I have high quality data, it's going to be a good representation of the real world, at least as much as I need to use it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to be good enough. This is a huge deal because data informs an enormous number of things, and high quality data makes for a lot better decisions. It's really important for us to remember that as we talk about data-informed policy and data-informed decisions, it's a huge problem if we get garbage in, because we're going to get garbage out. GIGO is one of the most common little acronyms that we see in these kind of things, partly because it's kind of funny, but also it's so important. If I'm doing a bunch of data analysis and my data is garbage, the analysis is also going to be garbage. Quality is a team effort. High quality data comes from everyone working together, inclusive teams working on data to improve programs and to build better outcomes for children and families. So these three are all related to each other. Data capacity can be built by enhancing data literacy. The two working together can improve data quality, which then creates a feedback loop, which builds capacity and data literacy as we go. One of the most important things, one of the best things as we go through in this course is we're going to talk about what this looks like in practice, and hopefully we'll see some examples that'll make this clearer for you in terms of what this really looks like in a real program. But it's important to have this vocabulary, to have these concepts to get everything started.